Good day. Welcome to Truth Cast. It is your host, Godwin Wonder. I'm a Christian, and I wanted to start this channel as a way to encourage other Christians all around the world, and perhaps also have the opportunity to reach those who aren't Christians for Christ. The goal is to share the truth. Nothing but the truth. I don't know everything, but God does. And He's presented His truth to us in His Word. What a great privilege we have to have access to the knowledge of the Most High. Have access to the knowledge of the Most High. In Corinthians, the Apostle Paul says that we have the mind of Christ. If you understand anything about the Bible, it should not come as a surprise that Jesus Christ is the God of the universe. Now, what I particularly want to talk about today, it being my very first video, is something that I've been thinking about. I noticed this several years back in the course of my Bible reading. And this is particularly true about the Old Testament. I'll give you a quick example. Remember Nebuchadnezzar and his interaction with Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? And at least 2 times, Nebuchadnezzar came to the realization that the God of Israel is the Most High. He's the God of gods. I believe Nebuchadnezzar confessed these very words. He's the God of gods. So here's the question. Why did Nebuchadnezzar not abandon his own gods? Useless, right? Why didn't he abandon them for the God of Israel? He realized how powerful the God of Israel, in his day, I'm talking about Nebuchadnezzar, he realized how powerful the God of Israel is. And yet, he continued to worship and serve his own gods. Why is that? Has that changed since Nebuchadnezzar's time till now? No, it hasn't. It has not changed at all. See, God hand-selected Abraham and his descendants by promise. Right? Abraham had Isaac, Jacob. Esau is not included in that. His descendants by choice. And those would later on become the nation of Israel. God did that for a very specific reason. He chose Israel to be a beacon, to be an example to all the nations. So as the other nations, the surrounding nations, saw Israel being blessed, they would be asking themselves, why are these people so blessed? And if they ask themselves this question, the answer would come. It is because of the God whom they serve. Well, when you conclude your enemy's always on the top, he's defeating you in battles, he's blessed all the time, and you figure out why, what do? Do you continue in your old ways, or do you abandon your ways and adopt the ways of your enemy? Think about it, right? If you want to succeed, if you want to be blessed, you abandon your old ways and you adopt the ways of your enemy. And essentially, your enemy then becomes your friend, because in this particular case, you're both worshiping the same God. The God of Israel is love. But that's not what happened. These people would try different things in different ways to try to overcome Israel and fail. Really stupid when you think about it. This stupidity and foolishness have not gone away at all. People today still practice them. They still practice them. No wonder Isaiah declares concerning idols. No, the worship of idols is foolishness, and it is. Here is a modern example of what I'm talking about. So, I am originally from Ghana. In the central region, the capital of this region being the Cape Coast. The coastal area of Ghana used to actually be known as the Gold Coast. And hopefully you knew this already, but if not, you can do a little digging if you're interested. Dig into history. In any case, so the people who live in Cape Coast, I should say who lived in Cape Coast, okay, before the Europeans made contact with the area, had a local idol they worshipped and made sacrifices to. So Europeans came and built a castle over this area, okay, over the shrine where locals would go make sacrifices to the idol. Okay, so Europeans came, foreigners came, built a castle over this shrine and barred the people from going and sacrificing to this idol. And eventually actually enslaved the locals. Okay? Enslaved them, put them on ships to the Americas. Okay? If you are an African American, you visited Ghana, you know what I'm talking about. You know about the castle, right? So, slavery goes on for a couple hundred years, right? And eventually it is abolished. And in the 1970s, locals asked for permission from the Ghana government for access to this idol. Okay, they wanted to be able to go down there and resume their the worship and service to this idol. And the Ghana government granted them permission. If you've been to this castle, I'm sure you remember, going to the shrine. But I want you to consider the foolishness of this whole thing. Okay, so this idol did not protect you, the locals, from foreign invaders. No, right? Foreigners who came in and enslaved you. This idol didn't protect you. Did not lift a finger to protect you. After this how do I even put it, right? After this, in a lot of ways, evil institution of slavery, and I'm talking particularly about the transatlantic slavery, it was evil, it was wicked, no doubt about it, right? And later on I'll get into I'll get into how it came about, okay? How Christians can process that, especially descendants of slaves today in the Americas, how they can, who are Christians, how they reconcile that with their Christian religion and with God. We'll get into all of that. So, again, consider the foolishness of it. I would think the smarter thing to do would be to be asking yourself, okay, so we offer sacrifices to this idol. This idol that didn't lift a finger to help us when foreigners invaded our land and enslaved our people. Why are we going back to worship and serve this idol? And number two, right? Point number two. These foreigners, whatever they brought with them, was superior to this useless idol that we worship. Okay? Not necessarily saying that it was the best, right? But it's better than this useless idol that our ancestors worshipped. Do you know that the number one thing that holds people back from true progress, spiritually and physically? You ready for it? It is culture. Absolutely, culture. You know, in 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 18, the Apostle Peter really reminded the Jews about the futile way of life that they had inherited from their forefathers. I want you to consider something. The Israelites, relatively speaking, were a better people, more moral people than everybody else. They had the oracles of God, the laws of God. Were they always obedient? No. But on the morality scale, they were still better, right? Overall. Consider the Apostle Peter, referring to his ancestors' manner of living as futile. And compare that to what you've inherited from your forefathers, whether you are African or European. Think about it. Or any people other than the Israelites. Futile way of life inherited from our forefathers. Culture is the number one thing that holds people back spiritually and physically. In my next video, I'm going to get drill down some more on this topic. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Have a blessed day.